When RM signed with Big Hit and a group began to form around him, he wasn't even an adult. And when the girl group under Big Hit disbanded, the survival of the company and the paychecks and the futures of its employees fell squarely on the shoulders of three teenagers: RM, Suga, and J-Hope. Despite their age, they made one thing clear to Bang Shiuk. If BTS was going to pivot into becoming a traditional boy band, it had to be on their terms. They demanded creative control. And they weren't veterans. They were barely out of high school, but they knew what they stood for. So when Jin joined with no singing or dancing background, when Jungkook was too shy to sing in front of others, and when V entered with raw but untamed talent, and when Jimin rushed to catch up after joining just 6 months before debut, RM, Suga, and J-Hope had barely been laying the groundwork. RM led with vision and intellect. Suga produced music that stood toe-to-toe with industry veterans. And J-Hope brought a level of performance mastery that redefined K-pop standards. They each took charge of their domain, and together, they built a foundation strong enough to carry everyone else. They weren't just teammates, they were pillars, and the structure they built didn't just support the group. It became the blueprint for the empire BTS would grow into. Let's take a closer look at what those three geniuses created: an environment that empowered the vocal line to step into their artistry, take control of their careers, and one day, conquer the world. But before we go further, let's be clear. The success of Jin, Jimin, V, and Jungkook belongs solely to them. RM, Suga, and J-Hope didn't hand it to them. They certainly didn't do the work for them. What they provided was more akin to what an older sibling contributes in a household: the atmosphere, the tone, the quiet support that influences how dreams are shaped, how risks are taken, and how confidence is built. Control. In an industry that rarely grants it, the Rapline demanded creative control. They fought for their voice, and they kept it through obscurity, through near failure, through meteoric success. Their music remained theirs. So it was no surprise when the vocal line mirrored the same independence. Even in the shadow of BTS's global dominance, a success so massive that the stakes were higher, the eyes more watchful, they still chose to create on their own terms. But that's nothing surprising because they matured artistically in an environment where autonomy was the norm. Through failures and success and all the in-betweens, they were the team that controlled and owned their own voice. They didn't know any other way. Taking risks. From debuting with an unusually dark concept to shifting into the introspective The Most Beautiful Moment in Life series, to the bold experimentation of Wings and the philosophical depth of Map of the Soul, BTS constantly defied expectations. They talked about mental health in a culture where therapy is actually a taboo. They built an album around a controversial novel. They wrote about the loneliest whale, the burnout and pressures of idols, the invisible burdens of youth. They weren't just performers, they were risk takers. So the vocal line grew up artistically, watching risk not just tolerated, but embraced, welcomed, even encouraged. So when V explored jazz and R&B, when Jimin wrote his raw emotional story, when Jin leaned into pop rock, and Jungkook aimed global from the start, it wasn't shocking. It was expected. Boldness was their culture. Depth. There are no shallow songs in BTS's discography. Try as you might. Even Mic Drop, a victory lap, is layered with socio-economic commentary. Their lyrics stretch across eras, building multi-album narratives. Save Me becomes I'm Fine. Seesaw moves like its namesake. Listen to the beat, it actually sounds like a seesaw. Dionysus, Idol, Black Swan. Each track is a thesis. They've always written from a place of intention, crafting complete experiences rather than just albums. So when the vocal line stepped forward, they did the same. They wrote with the intention of exploring an emotion, growing an idea, asking questions. It was never just about catchy beats. It was always about meaning and message, and not just in lyrics, but also in melody and beats. Greatness by racing each other. Where other groups toned down to stay balanced, the rap line pushed upward. RM and Suga trained relentlessly to match J-Hope's dance level. J-Hope immersed himself in rap to match the bars of Suga and RM. No one deemed their light for cohesion, something very common nowadays. Many idols are actually asked to tone down just so they can look cohesive. BTS rose together. They reached for the bar. They never asked for the bar to be lowered. The spirit lives in the vocal line, whose solo debut stood shoulder to shoulder with industry veterans, proving that being a new artist isn't an excuse. It is a beginning. Courage to dream, heart to fail. The rap line has always worn their ambition on their sleeves. Whether chasing their first desang or crafting world-class performances, they never feared failure. They never settled for what's okay. They always aimed for greatness. They prioritized effort, authenticity, and growth over playing it safe. That gave the rest of the group permission to dream loudly, to try boldly, and to keep moving despite the risks. Substance over swagger. RM, Suga, and J-Hope never treated hip-hop as just aesthetics. It was never just about looking cool, looking tough. Their lyrics carried weight, history, emotion, and introspection. They told stories. They made statements. So when the vocal line began writing their own music, they followed suit. Meaning came first. Their songs were built on truth, not trend, on message, not just melody. Jin made a covenant to always keep on singing, the one thing that he can offer armies. Jimin sang about the irony of finally experiencing freedom from responsibilities, but suffocated in the open space of nothingness. V grabbed specific moments of an emotion and immortalized it, while Jungkook experimented with the different expressions and meaning of love. Substance is their foundation. It is built into them. Vulnerability. In a culture that demands strength from men, the rap line showed softness, honesty, and emotional courage. That openness flowed into the rest of BTS. When Jungkook broke down seeing his older brothers in pain, when Jin wrote about his emotions before enlistment, when Jimin documented his pandemic-era struggles, when V reinvented himself and Jungkook sang of love in all of its form, it wasn't just performance. It was real. That vulnerability was their strength. And it all began with a safe space where feeling things wasn't punished. It was celebrated. In fact, it was necessary. The rap line built the foundation. They were kids carrying the weight of a company. Artists forging a sound no one had heard before. Brothers creating a culture, a safe haven, and a launch pad. The success of BTS's vocal line doesn't come from standing behind the rap line. It comes from standing on the foundation the rap line laid. And that's the point. Young artists don't just need talent. They need an environment. They need a space to grow, to try, to fail, to experiment, and to lead. RM, Suga, and J-Hope gave Jin, Jimin, V, and Jungkook that space. And what the vocal line did with it was nothing short of historic. I hope you found that helpful as much as I did, but also I hope that you were entertained. So please like the video, subscribe, and hit that notification button. But more importantly, please share the video because it's really helping my channel. Also, follow me on X or on Twitter and also on Patreon. I do have a free membership. But if you're looking for a community where you can share your passion for BTS, for K-pop, for Asian entertainment and culture, movies, TV, or if you're just looking for a community where you can openly but respectfully express your unpopular opinion and get feedback, this is the community for you. We do have a free membership, so if you just want to try things out, you're welcome to do so. Thank you.